Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 2025 Hall of Fame induction ceremony. It's nice to see all the inductees, the families, the friends that are here tonight to support everybody, but clearly were there when their inductees were playing. It's great to see everybody here. It's great to see some of my Peakton High School friends that are here as well. But it is an honor for these, inductees to get here. It's a bridge between the past and the present. And it's something that, it's a great tradition that allows, for the present generation to see what the past has done. So the Winchester Hall of Fame and the Winchester Sports Foundation, since it has been established, has donated approximately $1 million to the Winchester High School sports program, ensuring the best and safest experience for all of Winchester High School athletic teams. One piece that I think the Hall of Fame and the Sports Foundation is most proud of recently, they have completely funded the Unified Sports Program. The Unified Sports Program is promotion of social inclusion through sport. So currently, Winchester High School offers unified bowling and basketball. And to kind of give an update on the Winchester athletics presently, currently Winchester is in the top 10 largest sports programs in the state. They have 28 different programs and 72 different teams. So basically what that comes down to is 65% of all high school students participate in at least one sport. And my wife gave me that math. I also really want to thank the Hall of Fame committee for their hard work and dedication to bringing the, basically they bridge the gap from the past to the present. And it's very important to, that this happens for the Winchester High School, for the tradition to continue. It's all about tradition, and this is a great tradition that lets everybody, the current kids see what, what the past had done. So it is really a great thing that this, organization does, and please give them a round of applause. The members are Mark Aria, Megan Ashenberg, Karen Branley, Dot Butler, John Fleming, Michael Rossio, and Michelle White. So the Hall of Fame inductees are proud to present this year's 2025 Hall of Fame inductees. William Colella, Contributor Award, Athletic Director, Teacher, and Coach. Betty Nealon Crowley, 1951 Field Hockey, Basketball, and Softball. David Van Opdorp, 2009 Indoor Track and Field. And this year's team award is the 2009-2010 Girls Hockey Team. Michael Garassi, the 2015 Football and Basketball. And Patrick Gill, 2015 Football, Hockey, and Lacrosse. So first for the evening, we're going to congratulate the family of this year's recipient of the Winchester Sports Foundation Contributor Award for Bill Colella. Mr. Colella taught history, American history at Winchester High School, as well as he coached baseball. Mr. Colella was the athletic director from 1975 to 1994 and named Middlesex League AD that year in 1982. Mr. Colella's family is here to accept the award on their father's behalf, who passed away in 2017. Come on up. We're going to have you watch the video first. your mics are on now,
Okay.
so watch your P's and Q's.
Okay. Always.
So, Mr. Colella was mine and my whole family's athletic director. We absolutely loved him. He was great.
Thank you.
So why don't you talk to us a little bit about the path that he took to get to where he was? You know, briefly kind of go through where he went to school, how he ended up in Winchester and such.
Sure. So, father grew up in Revere, Massachusetts, where he played sports throughout high school, class president, along with his brother George. You know, and ironically, Joe Cronin in '46 had sent my grandmother, a letter saying they wanted my father to try out for baseball. My grandmother, knowing how important education was, said, that's not going to happen. So, you know, my father's grades weren't all that great in high school, but he tried, and he ended up going to Tilton Prep and played sports and really hunkered down on the education, and then followed that up with going to University of Hampshire, where my sister and I both went to, you know, years later. But, you know, he always put the student athlete, he put the student part first. You know, and the athlete came second. It was, you know, you get the grades, you put in the work, you know, especially like for us, growing up, it was like, you can play sports, but you got to get the grades. You don't get the grades, you're not playing sports. So I did get the grades.
Gotta love the sibling rivalry still happens
Come
you know, up on the
on.
stage.
But that's how he, you know, he lived his life, and it was very important and principled. And then, you know, in the early '60s, came to Winchester from Revere, and you know, I grew up wearing Winchester gear, even though I went to Manchester High. But it was, you know, his love of this town, his love of the school. He put such a premium on education and athleticism. I mean, that was him in a nutshell, really.
No, I think he set the tone for, you know, the way athletic directors handled Winchester in itself. It was a growing program, and a lot of people wanted to be active in sports, and, you know, he knew everybody. You know, do you guys have a house in Gloucester?
No,
We used to in Manchester.
by the sea.
Okay, because he used to show up in down the on the beach when we were in Good Harbor on the summers.
Yep.
Oh,
And
Yep.
we borrowed the Winchester high school shirts, and he would take them off of us when he'd see us on the beach. And so, because it belonged to the high school. But so tell me, you know, I am curious if there was a person at Winchester High School that inspired his passion or goals, or somebody in his life that inspired him to go the way that he did.
Well, I mean, probably first and foremost would be Coach Henry Knowlton. You know, we grew up knowing Coach Knowlton. And when we were building our house in Manchester, Coach Knowlton, the type of man he was, said, I'm not using my house during the summer on Maxwell Ave. He said, why don't you guys live there? While we were building a house. So that took the stress off of finding a place to live. And, you know, my father thought of him as his teacher, as his mentor. You know, and the coach would come down to our house for dinner. And we learned a lot, and I did learn he's the fastest eater of any man alive. But yeah, he was primarily the man who, and he was the one who recommended my father for the position of athletic director.
So having an athletic director and a teacher as a father, what do you think his best advice to both of you was?
Pretty strict, so he had pretty high standards. But you know, I mean,
You know, it's funny. It's like, and not that I was always the one getting in trouble.
yeah, you were.
But again, it was, I always knew, like, this is going to be bad.
Yeah.
But it was, he'd teach the lesson. Like when something went wrong, you know, or I did something wrong, or, you know, got in some trouble. Bobby knows that. But it was always, you know, to teach the lesson, you know, and, you know, you always hear teachable moment. That's what we got, you know. It wasn't always, you know, yelling. It was never yelling.
No.
And it was never screaming. It was, you know, how are we not going to do this next time? And I grew up, you know, not taking it to heart too much. And then as I got older and I got into leadership roles, I was like, man, I'm my father. Like I'm that guy, and it's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
It certainly is. You know, we all had great experiences with him, and he was the same way at school. Like, he needed you to learn that what you've done was wrong, especially my brother Chris. But you know, but he was very good at teaching the lesson without making you feel bad.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
I think it's great. So I'm going to grab. They're going to give you the award, and Jack Squalia will come over and give you the award.
Oh, okay.
And the best. Thank you. Congratulations. Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Everything you said is perfect. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be around. Thank you. Okay, up next, we have Betty Nealon Crowley. So Betty was graduated class of 1951. She was a three-sport varsity athlete, captain of field hockey, basketball, softball. Was also a member, because she didn't have enough on her plate already, a member of the club badminton team and the tumbling team. She won the Mansfield Wheeler Cup, which was given to the top male and female athlete at Winchester High School. microphone there. No, I got it right here. This one's on. It's already on. It's already on. So Betty, thank you for coming. I'm very curious because you've been involved with Winchester for as long as I can remember, and so what are you doing now? With all your free time
First of
after all
all-
those sports you've been playing.
First of all, I'm 91.
Congratulations. That's fantastic. So where are you currently living now?
I live in Melrose in my house that my grandfather built in 1940. And I have 5 children, and they help me out a lot. I can't drive anymore, and I have neuropathy, so
That fresh Nick told you that they won't let you drive, that you would want to drive.
yeah, I would like to drive.
I think it's on. I just want to make sure.
Yep. And I was subbing. I've subbed in Winchester in the schools for many, 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 many years. I taught at Lynch in 1972. I had a gym class. The gym teacher went to Europe. I don't know how old those kids are now, but
So let me ask you this. So you still have some connections, obviously, with your family, but what are the connections now that you have at Winchester High School or just
well,
in the town?
I've been a substitute in the town for probably 40 years.
Who was your freshest kid? Was it, Pat Gill?
No,
Brendan Gill?
nope.
Okay, just checking.
No, I did do a lot of subbing in the elementary schools, but I preferred to do it in the high school. And I taught, I coached the basketball team. Girls' basketball in those days was horrible. You couldn't cross the center line, and you only could take 2 dribbles. Very boring game. My favorite sport was field hockey.
Really?
And when I graduated from Winchester High, I went to Stanford. And in those days, most people didn't even know where Stanford was. And in case you don't know, it's in Palo Alto, California. But they didn't have organized sports for girls in those days. I couldn't get on a team and fly around the country like they do today. But I did join a gymnastic group. And we used to perform a gymnastic routine at the halves of the boys' basketball games. I graduated from Stanford a quarter early, so I went to Europe with my best friend from Winchester. I was on the Bridge of Sighs, Sighs, in Venice, for those of you who are familiar with Italy. And someone came up to me and said to me, "Did you go to Stanford?" And I said, "Yes, I did." He said, "I remember seeing you at the basketball games performing." That's quite a thing.
So let me ask you this. So is there a specific game or moment at Winchester High School that stands out in your memory?
Yes. And we had a very good field hockey team, and I was the high scorer in the field hockey team. But we lost one game. Michelle, where are you? Who did we lose to, do you think? You got it.
Some things never change. They're going to play him in 2 weeks. So,
Are you?
yeah.
Well, good luck.
So
That was my favorite sport. But
that field hockey was, yeah?
Yeah, but then I ended up being the captain of the softball team and also the coach. The girl who coached us went to BU, and she graduated and went home to the Midwest where she lived. So she said to Betty, "You have to be the coach." And we had an outstanding season.
Must have been the coaching.
We won all, won all our games.
Well, it's really amazing that because I know you've done a lot for the school and the kids of the program for all these years, but it really is amazing to learn how much, your athletic ability that, growing up, I didn't know, So I'm thrilled to hear that you're up here and you're able to celebrate this with us, because I think you're the best athlete in that family over there by a long shot. Nick, sorry, I thought you were the best one. Now I know where your kids get it from. Yeah, no. So, but thank you very much for coming. We're thrilled to be with you.
Thank you.
And Michelle's going to come up. Hopefully your luck can rub off on her on Watertown. Yeah, you get a standing ovation. Look at that.
Look at us. Look at this. Come on, stand up so you can see it.
Okay, next up, we have Davis Van Opdorp. Davis graduated in the class of 2009, and he was the top track field athlete to ever compete at Winchester High School. Among his many accolades was D3 Eastern Mass 400 meter hurdle record, held the 400 meter championship hurdle record, first place in the 300 meter indoor all states, third place 300 meter in all New England championship, first place 400 meter hurdle in all state outdoor championship, Globe and Herald all scholastic indoor and outdoor track, school record in the 300 meter, 400 meter, 400 meter hurdles indoor, 4x400. I'm just getting tired reading these. And the 4x800, and the list goes on. So we'd love to have run the video, and then we'll have them up. Come on up, Davis. Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah.
So, clearly you're the fastest man on earth.
Oh, geez, no.
Those records are, pretty amazing to have, consistently all the way through. Why don't you talk about what was your favorite moment, as a, someone at Winchester High School that maybe even inspired you? What drove you to be as successful as you were?
Yeah, first I want to say, I live with my family at home in Germany, so they're going to watch this later, so I just wanted to say hi to them real quick. It's crazy. Honestly, it's crazy for me to be here because I was here for Joe Cantillan's induction and Tom Klein's induction too. So I mean, the fact that I'm up here on the stage is just baffling to me. Yeah. So as you can see by the fact that I'm wearing a bow tie, I was not one of the popular kids in middle school. So I mean, those 3 years are hard for a lot of, for a lot of kids growing up. So I was having a really hard time trying to find what the right sport was for me. And then in 8th grade, I finally gave Tully track a try. And yeah, hi, John. It's good to see you. Yeah, so I gave Tully track a try, and my first Olympics that I remember was the 2000 Olympics, and I was a huge, Andrew Johnson was one of my heroes, and I wanted to run the 400, but they didn't have it for 8th graders, so I ran the 200 instead. And at that point, I had no idea how fast I was. And the only way I could tell was maybe from the mile in gym class. So basically, when the gun went off, I did my 3-point stance that I learned from Body by Boyle, and I ran out like a jackrabbit. And when I finished the race, the amazing thing happened was I stopped, I turned around, and then I saw everyone else finishing, and I realized I had won by 5 seconds. And that did two things for me. For one was that I was like, oh my God, I can actually do this. I'm actually good at this. The other thing too was one of the popular kids in school, Jamie McCaffrey, was telling everybody in school that I was the fastest kid in school. And for me, someone who did not have a place, all of a sudden, I was the fastest kid in school. And so going into high school, that was what really propelled everything else. That when I was on that track, I could know that I was the fastest kid at Winchester High School.
You know, it's an amazing. You know, we always, you never realize that sometimes even your own classmates are, the people that inspire you the most to, give you the confidence to do something. And, so it's a huge, that we hear this story because almost every athlete could probably tell somebody that influenced them in the high school. So. No, it's great. Thank you very much. So is there a specific game or moment at Winchester High School that stood out in your memory?
Well, luckily you listed a lot of things to choose from. I would have to say that I think that the first state championship that I won, which was in the 300-meter hurdles. Because at that point, I mean, I had gone undefeated in the league and stuff, but I was a junior in high school, and I wasn't really expected to win anything statewide, but I still hadn't. So I was the #1 seed going into all-state race, and that's actually really hard because everyone else can improve their seed, but I had to win because I was the #1 seed.
Did that put more pressure on you, like in your head, like when you were?
I mean, what I always told people was that before the race was awful because I was like, I'm putting myself through so much pain right now, but when the gun goes off, it doesn't matter. And I just remember going around the final curve, and then the announcer saying, "Now here's the final of the boys' 300-meter dash." And then I went over the second to last hurdle, and they said, "And here's Davis Van Opdorp from Winchester." And to hear my name, validated I was about to win. And this is all the things that it was hard that I had worked so hard the previous 3. And I had no idea that I was going to, because I thought I was going to be a 400-meter runner. I didn't think I was going to run the 300-meter hurdles, which my coach threw me in freshman year because he needed someone to do it. And I chose to do it because I thought I could win. And then there was the moment where I was about to win. And from then, my dad snapped that photo of me going over the final hurdle. And my friend Brian McCardo was in the stands holding up his #1 finger, and it was just the best memory. And then from there on, it was just fun because I already had the title in the bag, so I could just go out and have fun. Yeah.
Like Michelle having to win Watertown. That's still there.
Exactly.
So let me ask you, because there's a lot of kids that are involved in Tully's running and what have you, but so what advice do you have for a younger runner trying to figure out, one, who they are as a person, but two, what they're going to do as a runner?
Yeah, I mean, I think we were talking about it earlier. I think what's great about just the track program in general is that it's just such an open community. And Mr. Tully's son, Shane Tully, was one of my seniors, and to have that person just to welcome me into high school just meant the world to me. And he was my teammate, and he also knew how fast I was, but he also just treated me like a regular person. And that was one of the things that I will always remember, is just the community that we had. And we were all just rooting for each other. It wasn't really competitive, like, I want your spot, I want to beat you. It was more like, we're about to run a 400-meter dash, and it's gonna effing suck. So we're gonna do this together, and we're gonna get through it. So yeah, one of obviously the people who couldn't be here was Tom Klein, and he was my coach through all 4 years of high school. But one of his sayings was, get tough. And but what was really behind that was perseverance. And he was a Vietnam veteran, and he was very big on, he wasn't made, I think he was misunderstood as a coach because he would just kind of make up workouts as they came. But he really taught the value of teamwork and being there for each other and, celebrating other people's achievements. And yeah, but get tough is just the idea of perseverance and just getting through to the finish. And sorry, this is the hard part. Sitting on the stage, just not having him here, it's just a little hard because I knew I would always wanted to be here for him, to be on the stage, to be as one of his athletes, and I hope that he is watching from upstairs and is proud that I'm sitting here, because I'm definitely proud to have represented him as a athlete.
I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is. Appreciate it. Congratulations. Stay here for a sec. They're going to present. I'm going to give you this. Come on up. Thank you very much. Okay, up next we have, every year we try to do a team, and this year it is the 2009-2010 girls hockey team, which is which it was the first and only team to win a women's state title in hockey. Hey, all of you guys come up. Hey, you won this thing together. Get up on stage. So we can pull the chairs up, but then whoever's going to speak, I guess the three captains or whatever, so we just have them pull them up a little bit. You can do whatever you want. Of course. So,
Hello?
hey, Tucci, get up here. Where's Coach Tucci? Oh, no wonder why you won. He's on there. All right. First of all, congratulations. That's a great accomplishment for any team, but especially public school. It's not easy to do. You have those, outside where some kids maybe go to a different school. So putting it all together in a public town, I think, is absolutely fantastic. So why don't you talk about it? So talk about, I guess the best thing is maybe someone pick a moment or something that they remember most about that year, and what made you guys gel, because it does take the full team to make it happen.
I can talk about that. So we were kind of a motley crew of people. We were we were not the kind of team that was like best friends off the ice. We were a weird group of people. We got together and the locker room was just, it was like the perfect group, and we just had a lot of fun. A lot of us played other sports, and this wasn't our primary sport. So we kind of got together and like didn't care, and it was no pressure. We're gonna try a backhand from the midline and it goes in, and we don't know how, but we had a lot of fun, and it was a team that was built on just a lot of fun and kind of not caring.
Do you think there's something to that? The fact that there was kind of no pressure? Like, when you're trying to win something you're expected to win, your legs are a little tight or what have you, but do you think the fact that you really didn't, there wasn't pressure to do it, that it happened?
Yeah, definitely. I think, like she said, we all just came together and like had the most fun in the locker room. We were always just like dancing, jamming out, making fun of each other, like probably fighting each other in the locker room, and then we would go out and bring that energy on the ice. So I think that really helped us just not stress about being in the final state championship game. I mean, we probably looked around, we're like, how did we get here? And just had fun with it. So yeah, I think that carries on through like all of our sports. They always say like, have fun in what you're doing. You don't really realize that until we look back now and we're like, wow, we don't even know how we got here, what games we won, or who was the top scorer, any of that. We just know how much fun we had together as a team.
Okay, you wanted to read something?
Oh, no.
Oh, you don't?
No. Oh, okay. Well, I had to write this down or else I'd pass out, sorry. Was there a favorite moment, person, or experience at WHS that inspired your passions or helped you achieve your goals? I wrote, I think one of the most profound moments for our team came after we lost our beloved assistant coach, Eddie O'Donnell, who is also the father of our friend and teammate, Mary. When he suddenly passed, we wanted to come together to help Mary with the loss of her dad while dedicating the rest of our season to Coach O.D. We can still vividly remember putting his initials on our helmets and carried his spirit with us every time we stepped on the ice. We wanted to make him proud. We felt he was with us and played with that fighting spirit, which eventually led us to winning a state championship. That experience not only brought us closer as a team, but showed us the power of playing for something bigger than ourselves, something that we will never forget, and we will definitely never forget Coach O.D.
Wow. How did I do that?
All right, so we're at present day now, and you have teams that are just, trying to find the way to put it together like you guys did. What's your advice?
Well, I'll add if anyone wants to add. I would say, I think now and definitely back when we were younger, people kind of found one sport and played it year-round and did that. Like, we were a group of people that played a bunch of sports, didn't play sports, played hockey, did whatever we want, and I think that not enough people take credit for diversifying and doing different things, and I think that paid off immensely for all of us. Anyone else?
I have a specific memory from this whole journey that I feel would be good to share. So Lauren was, I remember very vividly being in Bourne or Sandwich or whatever, playing that. and we were tied like going into the third period. And I remember very clearly Lauren being like, guys, we've already like worked this hard, so like we might as well just like put the effort in to like try to like win this game and like keep fucking going. So I just wanted to share that because it was just kind of like the epitome of what that season was. Like we just all like kind of came together like when it mattered the most and like put it together. So it really wouldn't have worked with any other group of girls, I don't think. So.
Well, I do love the fact that you guys were multiple sport athletes. I think that's important too, because right now you have so many people trying to, privatize, their toddler basketball team, and it's a good lesson that, the freedom to go out and play and just, let it all hang out and it works, and you guys won a state championship in the meantime. So I think it's fantastic. You guys should be commended. And again, it's not an easy thing to do. So obviously, Coach, I know all the coaches, trying to put you, group of whatever you would like to call yourselves together. Coaches have a lot, have to do that. And, it's a great story. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. You guys crushed it. Good job. I'm proud of you. Thank you. That was so good.
Thank God for you, bro. Thank
All right, up next, congratulations to the next member of the Winchester Sports Hall of Fame induction for the class of 2025. This is Michael Garassi from the class of 2015. Michael was the Middlesex League co-MVP with the U.S. national soccer player Miles Robinson. He was the Boston Globe and Herald All-Scholastic, Daily Times Chronicle Player of the Year. He had 101 career points, third all-time by graduation. This is basketball, by the way, because if it was football, it would be in the Super Bowl. But 570 points is a senior, breaking Brian Keefe's record. 641 career rebounds is second all-time to Doug Miller. 27 rebounds in one game to set a school record. That means he missed a lot of shots there, Michael. But anyway, scored over 1,000 points at his college in Hamilton. Two-time captain, excuse me, two-time basketball captain and a football captain. And the Daily Times Football Offense Player of the Year as quarterback and Major League ML All-Star for football. Come on up, sir. All right, Michael. So, we'll start off with, was there a moment or a person or experience at Winchester High School that inspired your passion to play sports?
Before I answer the question, I just want to say thank you to a lot of folks in this room. But first of all, the Hall of Fame Committee and the Winchester Sports Foundation for putting this night together. To be inducted alongside Patrick Gill is one of the greatest honors of my life. I don't take this for granted. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for putting this together. I'm not done yet. And bear with me, I have some long responses here, so I apologize. The person who allowed me to unlock my potential as an athlete and as a human being is Patrick Gill. Growing up, I had a special bond with Pat, one that held together like glue. Camaraderie, fights, laughter, celebrating hard-fought wins were some of the intangibles that built the foundation of our friendship, our connection. One of the things I love most about Pat was he was the type of person you always wanted to be around, and it's on full display this evening. When he passed away on September 20th, 2014, I was unable to process what happened for well over a year. And what grounded me my senior year of high school was being surrounded by friends, family, the community, healers in the community, people like Sal Carviello, who's here tonight. Thank you, Sal, for what you do. Love you. Who understood the pain we were dealing with. And when I graduated in June and went to college later that summer, I was surrounded by brand new people. Nobody knew what we had gone through as a community, what I was going through, and that was really hard for a few years at Hamilton. And as I was adjusting to that new home, I started to write about Pat, the experience that I had with him, and it helped me process what was going on for me internally, but also how I could use his life and his spirit as a lesson for my own. And subconsciously, I started approaching every practice, every sprint, every workout, every game with a different intensity than I ever had before. And I would repeatedly tell myself to make the most of any opportunity that came my way, because Pat Gill would have done the same if he was still here with us. I started viewing adversity in a different light. Growing up, there were plenty of times I would succumb to fear, self-doubt, and Pat Gill's spirit, his life, his legacy reshaped the way I looked at fear personally. His spirit gave me strength, it gave me courage, and it cemented this mindset that I needed to maximize every single day that was given to me. And last thing I'll say is who Patrick Gill was as a person, an athlete, a captain, a leader, and a close friend inspired me to mold my own leadership style to match his. And as I look back on every goal or milestone that I ever luckily achieved, they all came after September 20th, 2014. And to this day, Pat Gill continues to guide me in my journey to be the best version of myself every day and cherish every opportunity that comes my way.
Thank you very much. So I'd like to hear about, when you play football, you play basketball, there could be two different coaching styles, right? So talk about your coaching experience, what you learned from your coaches, because, at that time you were going through something and, you saw your coaches in a different light rather than just, X's and O's. There were other things to deal with. So how did that go for you?
Yeah, great question, and I wanted to recognize a few people here. So starting off, Coach Fleming. Round of applause for Coach Fleming, please. My freshman year, I played for Coach Dale, who's a legend at Winchester High School. And Coach Dale, thank you. And John started my sophomore year at Winchester High School. And in short, you reshaped the culture around Winchester basketball. And to witness what the team has done and become since you've started as a coach is a testament to your investment in young athletes, consistent presence in the community, and your high expectations that you set in 2012. So John, thank you. Lastly, to I've got two more. My football teammates and coaches, Coach Carr, Coach Dembowski, my co-captains, Jimmy Crowther, Parker Carey, Davis Clark, Patrick Gill, my teammates, Timmy O'Brien, Bobby Keene, Devin DiVincenzo, Dave Ferrioli, Matt Oliver, Cam McGee, who I saw earlier. I always considered basketball to be my first, and I apologize, I might leave some people off that list. But I always considered basketball to be my first priority, but I loved football growing up, and I loved it because of you guys. We had some tough seasons, but I'll never forget the memories we shared, specifically 21-19, and the friendships we still have to this day. So thank you guys. I also want to recognize my family who's here tonight. So Patrick Grassi, my younger brother. You've been in my corner as long as I can remember, and you've been one of the most loyal people in my life. Loyal to your friends, teammates, and loyal to your brothers. And I love you. Thank you for always supporting me. Jack Grassi, Jay Grass. You motivated me throughout my childhood. You motivate me to this day. We share countless memories playing one-on-one in our driveway where we fight like hell to win those games, and when one of us finally lost, the loser would angrily retort, "Don't go inside, we're playing another game." Those competitive environments made me a better player, and I credit any of these achievements to you, Patrick, and Dad. So thank you, guys. I'm not leaving you out, Dad. I can count on one hand the amount of games you missed throughout high school and college, and in friggin' Ireland when I was overseas playing. This is crazy to think about, given that Hamilton is a 4-hour drive from our house in Winchester, and my dad would get in the car. One speeding ticket. He's a teacher. He would get in the car after work, and he would drive 4 hours to watch us play a non-conference game on a Wednesday night. You showed us what a great father is through your actions and through your words. And I can't thank you enough for driving me to basketball camps across the Northeast, paying for the best trainers to work with me, never saying no when I needed someone to rebound for me, never telling me I was crazy when I set an ambitious goal for myself, and for sending me a long text before every game with what I needed to do to help us win. You're a great dad. Love it.
All right. Thank you very much. It was, one thing I have for advice for young kids. So what advice would you give about young kids today about, leaning into sports?
A few things. Surround yourself with people who motivate you to be the best version of yourself. That's number one. Number two, you can outwork people. Look at Davis Clark. When I was growing up, some people who went the extra mile would often get laughed at, criticized, called a tryhard. And as I started to grow up, I started to realize that many people would say they wanted to be great at something, but they weren't willing to put in the sacrifices to be great. And what often made the difference to me when I looked around at other people who achieved greatness were those ones who were disciplined enough to work on their game when no one else was watching. The last thing I have, pay it forward. My time is done playing, unless we're in the driveway, Jack and Patrick. My time's up, and now it's on me, it's on all of us who played to pay it forward to the next generation because it was done for us.
Okay. So our last inductee tonight is Patrick Gill Jr., so we're asking Patrick Gill Sr. to have a seat just so we can play his video, and then we can honor Patrick. So for Patrick, we have a special Q&A that we would like to play for you guys.
One word to describe Patrick. There's plenty to choose from here. I think I would go with charismatic. I think you could feel his personality and energy, and just whenever he walked into a room. I think that's what made him such a good teammate and leader, and just a person overall.
When I think of one word to describe Pat Gill, I think of reliable.
One word I would use to describe Pat would be iconic. Between all of the memorable goals on the lacrosse field and plays in football, especially the catch on Thanksgiving, I think all of these moments make up an iconic career and really represent what it means to be a Sachem.
I would say gritty. Pat would fight you tooth and nail in everything, and I distinctly can remember the Spartan games. It's a football tradition, the last thing we do before we break camp, and he was a madman. out there.
I wasn't allowed to use the word knucklehead. It's actually 2 words, but I would say what a good teammate Pat was. And I know that's an easy compliment to give. It's an easy thing to say. But when you put it in the context of who Pat was, especially with respect to the other sports he played, it's certainly what made him exceptional.
Pat was relentless. Everyone knows that he was out there making plays and scoring. However, he was also an extremely physical player.
One word I would use to describe Pat was relentless. I mean, he was a relentless athlete on the gridiron, the corners on the ice, at attack and lacrosse field. I mean, you know, it was 100% all the time with that kid. He was relentless as a teammate. You know, there wasn't anything he wouldn't do for you. You know, no question he wouldn't answer, sarcastically or not. You know, no sword he wouldn't fall on for you. And as a friend, I mean, he was a relentless friend. I mean, texting to go out on the weekends, rallying the boys and the girls. You know, those are an important part too. Yeah, he's just a relentless guy in the best way. It's the best way I could describe him.
I think the best way to describe Pat would have to be charismatic. He was somebody that was always willing to put a smile on anyone's face, no matter what was going on in his life or what was going on in their life.
The one word that I would use to describe Patrick is love. Patrick had tremendous love for his teammates, for the games that he played, and for the coaches that he played for. That was evident every time he stepped on the field, whether it was on lacrosse, football, or on the ice in hockey. Patrick also had tremendous love for his family and for the town in which he represented. That love that I was fortunate enough to see on and off the field as being Patrick's cousin was evident, especially with his family. He always showed tremendous love towards Erin, whether it was helping her out with school, not that much, or within sports, supporting her. And Brendan, we saw it every day with him, whether it was playing catch in the backyard, and he always had time for him. Or for his mother, where the story is always told that Patrick had just as much fun playing as he did spending time in the car talking to his mother. And for his father, Patrick had tremendous love and loved to make his father proud while playing in those games and on those fields, representing the town that they loved.
When I think of Pat Gill, I think of competitor, because he wasn't always the most skilled player on the field, but he was always working hard to be better. He worked hard to win, he worked hard to execute a game plan, and he worked hard to make his teammates better all around him.
One word I would use to describe Pat is just a leader. He was somebody who had this unique ability to connect with anyone and everyone in the school, but also within our football team. He had this contagious personality about him that through his charisma and his sense of humor, but also his dedication and his work ethic.
A word to describe Pat would be stud.
One word to describe Pat, obviously athleticism, but I think the main thing that comes to mind for me is loyalty.
Easy, Sachem. Patrick was a great competitor, and I have this vision of Patrick hustling to get the ball back during a game where we were down by a lot and we were not going to win. But he never stopped fighting.
One word to describe Pat, Showtime.
It's impossible to describe the life and legacy of Pat Gill in one word, so I'll use the 2 words that I always use when describing his legacy to someone who had never met him, and that is Mr. WHS. And I use those words because that's really who Pat was. He was Mr. Winchester High School. He was the face of our community. He was the face of Winchester athletics. His family was and is still embedded, so deeply in the Winchester community. And so when we lost him, it was impossible for me and for so many others, and still is, to wrap our mind around that he was gone, because he was the man. He was the guy.
Funniest story I ever had playing hockey with Pat was when we were playing Hingham, and someone from the Hingham fan section threw a hot dog in the penalty box after Pat had just taken a penalty, and I think the jury's still out there as to whether or not he actually ate it or not. We're not really sure.
I remember in freshman football, we'd do tackling drills every single day. That meant I was constantly going up against Pat, and he would always be trying to run me over, bringing everything that he had and making me give a lot more effort. And that translated into the games, because Pat was always willing to block for his teammates, put his body on the line, and make hits, and that meant the world to all of us.
Fortunately, I don't think any of my stories are appropriate, so if you want a good laugh instead of a cry, come find me at the bar after the banquet. I'll tell you a couple good ones.
There's a jersey of Pat hanging at the Flynn rink. And I was there with my son, and he's doing the learn to play, and his little buddies are there, right? And he looks at me, he goes, "Hey, Dad, whose jersey is that?" I go, "That's Pat Gill's." He goes, and he looks at his buddy, and he goes, "That kid must have been nasty if his jersey's hanging up in the rink." And the other kid's like, "Yeah, he must have scored so many goals, and he must have just been the man, and great hockey player." And I started laughing. And I started, before I told them who Pat was and told them the story, you know, I said, I just kind of chuckled to myself, because I know if Pat Gill knew all the little rugrats running around Winchester youth hockey thought he was the best player to ever come through there and score all these goals, Pat would laugh his ass off.
My favorite story about Pat was he was just a freshman at the time. We lived in the same neighborhood, and he had texted me about walking down to practice, and I told him, "Yeah, just let me know when you're out front and I'll come out and we can walk down together." So a little time goes by, he didn't text me. I figured out maybe he just walked down to practice on his own. So I come downstairs, I'm walking to the kitchen, and I hear a voice that wasn't that familiar. I'm like, "Who is that?" So I walk into the kitchen, and there Pat is, having a bowl of cereal, just hanging out, talking to my dad like they'd known each other for 30 years. And I just think that's a testament to the type of guy that Pat was, and how he really just could insert himself in any situation and just thrive.
My favorite memory of Pat was my senior year when we were playing Lexington. I was coming back from a hamstring injury. I had missed a few games, and I didn't get the start in that game, and Coach Prani ended up putting me in the late in the second half. And they drew up a play for me, and you know, I was supposed to dodge from up top. Pat was gonna try and lose his defender on the weak side post, which of course he did. And as I made the dodge, you know, I saw he was wide open, and so I threw him the ball, and Pat did his signature fake high, go high finish, which always seemed to work for him for whatever reason, and he scored. And as everybody sort of crowded around him for making the great play that he did, I just remember he sort of brushed everybody off and came over to me and sought me out and put his helmet right on mine and just pumped me up for making the pass. And of course, I didn't really do anything, right? I mean, he couldn't have been more wide open. He was in the perfect position, and he made a great play. But I think he knew that I was probably playing a little bit nervous and a little bit timid in my first game back from injury. And he just had the leadership instinct to seek me out, make me feel a lot better. Leadership just came very naturally to him.
But what I remember most is just all the laughs with Pat. And I love Pat. I still think about him all the time. I love the Gills, and I hope you guys have a great night tonight, celebrating everything that he was, that he is, which is an athlete, a friend, and a teammate. And so I love you guys. Have a great night.
Patrick had a hard time learning how to convert a slant route versus different coverages. So we had converted a room in the old high school to a film room, and one day we're in there, probably early in his junior year, mid-junior year, and he kept messing up the slant route. So at one point I had snapped and I had punched the door behind me leading into the equipment room at that time, and little beknowns to me was there was glass behind that cardboard and it shattered, and everyone was like, "Oh!" And I said, "Patrick, that's your fault because you can't get this slant right." Then fast forward a month and a half later, Thanksgiving that year, when Patrick was a junior, John, we go into overtime. Woburn scores right off the bat. We stop the conversion. Patrick, next play, our first play, we throw a slant to John Dooley. He catches it, And then wouldn't you know, in a fateful moment, we run the slant to the other side of the field, and Patrick catches it, and we win in overtime when we had no business winning the game. And I can see Patrick smiling down now. I brought out my old Sachem's hat. You can see the Sachem. I had to black out, and I break this out on special occasions. I still have my PG on there. Patrick will always be one of the brightest shining stars in Sachem history as we go forward. I love you, Patrick. I can't say enough about you and your family. God bless you, and you're always in my memories.
How I think Pat would feel about going in the Hall of Fame, well, I know he'd be talking a lot of smack to family members that have not quite made it to the Hall of Fame yet. And I know that he is smiling from ear to ear because nobody loved being around the boys more, loved Sachem sports more, and you know, he deserves this recognition.
I think Pat would be incredibly proud to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I know it meant a lot to him to be from Winchester, play for Winchester, and to be a Sachem. And so I think he would just be incredibly proud.
He wasn't just a teammate, he was a brother. And tonight he's probably cracking a beer and cracking some jokes, but deep down, I think we all know that he's honored to receive this award. And we all miss him and love him.
I think Pat thought he probably should have been inducted our first day of freshman year. But, and also I'd like to say to the Gills, thank you for letting me be such a small piece of such a special person's life. Thank you.
As I think of Pat getting into the Hall of Fame today and how he would react, I would imagine he would be very nonchalant on the outside, but very prideful on the inside, and I couldn't think of a more deserving person.
Pat played with an uncommon combination of fierceness and joy. His sense of exuberance changed everything on the field. He lifted his teammates, he angered his opponents, and at times played like a 12-year-old in a throwback pickup game on Leonard Field or in his backyard. He was the kind of boy every coach loves to be around, and down deep we all know that his presence, his impact on the contest had nothing to do with what we had to teach him. The best thing I ever did for Pat was to get out of his way and let him play. Just let him be a boy and let him compete.
He taught me how to be, how to act towards our elders and adults. I think he was really great from a young age at, the please and thank yous, which is so simple, but, just how to act when you're at someone's house. Say thank you for having me, or when you get a ride from a friend's parent, thank you for the ride. Little things like that I kind of picked up growing up really goes a long way, and something that stands out to me with Pat. And just to Pat, you're one of the best athletes and people I've ever met. You're more than deserving of this honor. Obviously, I wish you could be here to celebrate it. I know you would love it. I know you'd be, smiling with us as we induct you. But you're more than deserving, and congratulations, buddy.
Just wanted to say congratulations to your entire family and to Patrick for this unbelievable accomplishment. It is well deserved for who he was and what he meant to our community, and also as someone who was one of his close friends growing up. It's an incredible honor to go in alongside of him into the Hall of Fame this year. And I would just say for your family, I'm looking up at Brendan to be next, because I know he's gonna have an ability to get in and join his big brother one day soon. And just wanted to say congratulations to you all.
Mr. Gill, Mrs. Gill, Aaron and Brendan, congratulations. I know you're all very proud. And I think this would be the topic of conversation at the dinner table for a while if he was here and knew that he was being inducted to the Hall of Fame.
He was just such a special person. And Pat, I just want to say I'm so thankful to have known you. And I know so many others would say, thank you so much for the impact you had on my life and so many others. You were the consummate teammate. You were the consummate Sachem. I love you. I miss you. And I know if you were here right now, you'd tell me, OC, It only took me 3 years to get into the Hall of Fame, and no one else can say that. So Pat, you will live on forever in our hearts and our legacy. You know, the legacy that you've left is one that is unmatched. I love you and I miss you.
Life can be a fight sometimes. And when you get knocked down, get back up. Think about Patrick. Be like the Gills. Be a Sachem. Be like number 45.
We love you, Patrick.
So I'd like to ask Michael Armstrong to come up. He is going to present Patrick's plaque to the Gill family. So Mr. and Mrs. Gill, Brendan, Aaron, please come up.
I guess I would be remiss in not saying something about tonight. The fact of the matter is, when something like this does happen to a family, it takes a community to help you. And without many of you in this room, from friends, family, teachers, administrators, coaches, we wouldn't have gotten through it. So, right back at you. Thank you. And you guys all deserve to be in Hall of Fame for us to even be standing up here doing this. Thank you very much.